Number 6, the universe is a well-oiled and perfectly timed machine. That is to say that it's set up and it sustains itself without one thing being out of place. With that said, if we were to look at it, thinking intelligently, like it was the first time that we've ever seen it, would it be more plausible that someone or something or some being designed the universe to be this perfectly well-oiled machine, or would it be more plausible that random acts over a long period of time would help, would eventually start this machine and start it working perfectly as it is? Which would be more plausible?
Where do you get the idea that the universe is a perfectly well-oiled machine? Take just our planet. I mean, you look at plate tectonics. You look at our extremely variable weather system. I mean, if this was a perfectly well-oiled machine, there would never be droughts. There would never be famines. There would never be there would never be volcanic explosions. There would be no hurricanes. There would be no earthquakes. I mean, this is not a perfectly well-oiled machine even as a planet. You take it to the cosmic scale and you have, suns burning out and exploding. You have planets, that are incapable of life, since you seem to think that that is the purpose of the universe. Sorry, that is an assumption that I shouldn't make. That's not right. But I mean, the thing is that we have things at all times being crashed into, and I mean, comets blasting planets apart, and stuff like that all over the universe. I mean, that's probably an extreme example, but this is not a well-oiled machine, but it is all that there is. So I mean, right now we can't even really conceive of what anything else would look like. So from that perspective, sure, it's a perfectly well-oiled machine, because we can't think of anything right now that would be more efficient than what exists, because it is all that exists. The fact that we are here and can consider it is just really lucky. And the fact that, that it works well enough to sustain life, and an intelligent life, is just really, really, really lucky.
Number 7, if we are products of random acts, and indeed all things that we observe came out randomly, or in a better sense, accidentally, then when you boil it down, even the things that we're doing now came about by random occurrences. Furthermore, our thought processes are results of random actions at the root. Why is it important that the random actions in your life should have any effect on the random actions in anyone else's life? In other words, if everything is random, then is there anything worth actually knowing or imparting to someone else? In addition to this response, please defend why one random person's thoughts should be able to explain the beginning and the sustaining of all things.
Okay, why, if we're the product of random chance, is there any meaning in life? Basically what it boils down to. Okay, first of all, we as a species and every other life form on this planet are not the product of random acts. First of all, act is something that is done with intent. We are products of random mutation and natural selection. Now, I put an "and" there because the two are very, very important. Random mutation occurs because genes don't copy themselves exactly perfectly all the time. This has some effect. The much greater effect comes from natural selection, which is not random. Basically, if you are born with a genetic advantage, you are more likely to reproduce yourself more than those who are born with genetic disadvantages. So, over time, and this is where, for some reason, people seem to have a hard time, over a long period of time, you have gradual improvement in a species. Gradual improvement. This is not in any way random. At all. and it's also not an act. It's a series of events, things that occur without intention behind them. So it's not random, it's not purposeful, but it's not at all random. Next, the suggestion that all of our thoughts and everything are random, everything that we observe is happening by random means. Okay, first of all, we are complex organisms. The things that happen in our bodies to sustain us are not random. If they were, we would all be dead. There is a series and sequence of events that occur within an individual being, physiologically, chemically, etc., that allows us to be a complex organism. So our thoughts are not random. The fact that you can make this video is a proof of that. The fact that anyone can communicate with anybody else, the fact that we can have sequential linear thought, or creative thought even, is proof that we're not in any way random. So that's not true. But basically you go on to say why, since this is all random, why does the effect that you have on other people matter? Well, because we're here. This is a reality that no one denies. We are here. Well, I suppose some people say that it's all an illusion, but the majority of people on the face of the planet agree that I think, therefore I am. We are here. And you know that the actions that you have affect other people's lives, and that it is vastly important to take great care with that. Your last bit, why should a random person's thoughts explain the beginning and sustaining of all things? My first impression was that you were talking about God. God being the random being that whose thoughts explain the beginning and sustenance of all things, which doesn't make any sense. But if you're talking about how is it that great minds who have collected evidence about the world through observation and empirical inquiry and rational skepticism, how can their thoughts, because they must be as random as the rest of it, ever possibly explain the world? Well, I think that I went far enough in describing how our thought processes are not random actions, how we didn't come about by random means, so this is a non-question and a non-issue. I hope that was a sufficient explanation.